So now it's a good time to talk about enterprise software architecture and applications or data integration. Okay, it doesn't sound too sexy, but I hope it will be valuable for AR developers, and who knows, you may eventually like it. I apologize in advance to software engineers for the shortcuts and oversimplifications. So let's go. At the beginning was the enterprise application. Applications have been created to help employees fulfill a task and keep track of something. For example, instead of using a notebook, an accountant will use a finance application to record transactions. An application usually manages some enterprise data stored in a database. It has some logic written in a programming language to create, search, manipulate this data, and apply business logic. It has some more code to present a graphical user interface to the end user. So, whatever the product or service a company is selling, it uses applications. Sometimes, what it sells is itself an application. Apps have been created for all departments: finance, HR, logistics, manufacturing, you name it. And large applications get their own three-letter acronyms, such as CRM for customer relationship management, ERP for enterprise resource planning, SCM for supply chain management, to name a few. An average company can have 500 applications. So as soon as the data is meaningful for a company, it becomes a piece of information. And companies rapidly understood the value of this information. But with this landscape of applications, they had two main problems. The first one is the isolation of data in one application. IT professionals often talk about silos in a negative way to describe data kept and segregated from the other part of the architecture. The second issue is that information is not flowing seamlessly from one system to another, which is extremely important for companies to act in real time and as fast as possible to changing conditions. So to address those problems, people found solutions in the domain of application and data integration, and by rethinking software architecture and improving enterprise IT architecture. In terms of software architecture, an important step has been to set up a kind of phone system so you can reach applications remotely, and so applications could talk to each other. You may have heard about it. It's Internet Protocol, adopted in 1983. So the second step was to separate the UI and to value the business logic and the data, and to define the calls and requests that can be made with the notion of Application Programming Interface, or API, which get popular in the 90s. Coupled with the notion of network, it became Network-Based Application API, or Web API, in 2000. And we agreed to use REST protocol and the data representation as XML or JSON. Then people starting to think to shrink. Then people started to shrink apps to the core minimum reusable pieces called services, web services, or microservices. On the enterprise IT architecture side, people found an elegant way for services or applications to inform the rest that something interesting, basically an event, happened, without knowing who could be interested. This is the message bus and publish and subscribe mechanism, opening the possibilities of event-driven architecture. The data became so important that it started to be a first citizen. It got many different shapes and sizes to the point it has been referenced as big data and has now its own domain. With all the data available, data scientists emerge, and companies use the data not only to describe the business, but also to prescribe and to predict using machine learning techniques. At the end, any customer interaction with a company is in fact a succession of events and services that have to be orchestrated. The business process management and case management solutions are doing just that in the domain of business architecture. So, to sum up this very short overview of enterprise software, any augmented reality application for enterprise we'll have to leverage enterprise data in a way. And to do so, we think that developers should be knowledgeable on REST API, XML and JSON representation, event architecture and messaging solutions, data science techniques, integration with business processes and case management solutions, and also have notions of security, encryption, authentication, authorization, the kind of things that make an application enterprise ready.